Hello and welcome back to the Global Mindfulness and Education Summit. My name is Dr. Chris Willard, one of your hosts, along with Helen Maffini. And today we are turning toward Argentina, South America, to my good friend, Marina Lisenberg, who I've worked with a lot over the years. When I'm down there, we've done many wonderful collaborations together. And every time I'm down in Argentina, I'm just so amazed by just how vibrant and alive and huge the mindfulness community is in Buenos Aires and throughout Argentina. So please welcome Marina Lisenberg, and she's teaching at the Universidad de Belgrano. She is also the author of two wonderful books, one for parents and one for kids, El Secreto de Emilia. And she's also a psychologist and a very long-term mindfulness teacher, one of the first, if not the first, bringing mindfulness to Argentina. So please welcome Marina Lisenberg. Marina, it's so wonderful to see you. It's so wonderful to be together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chris, for the invitation. I am really happy to share with you this conversation, and I would also like to thank Helen and all the team that worked and made this possible. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. So do you just want to start by sharing a little bit about what's your interest and experience with mindfulness, and how did it get started for you? Maybe a bit of your personal and professional journey.
Okay, well, for me, mindfulness is a way to practice and cultivate care inside and also around and with other people. My intention, both in practicing and in teaching, is to learn and to teach how to take care, not only ourselves, but also the others and the world, the planet we are living in, thinking of the present, but also for the next generations.
I think it's so helpful how it reminds us, and the theme of caring for the planet has come up a few times throughout the summit, and I think mindfulness really does, as you said, it just reminds us to see the bigger picture and to think about our impact in so many ways. Absolutely.
Yeah, you are asking me about how did I start it, and you have visited us many times, and you know that Argentina is a country with a roller coaster political and financial reality.
Right.
And back in 2001, I knew already how to practice mindfulness. I had been taught, but it was not part of my daily life. And when this huge financial and political crisis started to manifest, we have had 5 presidents in 1 week. Did you know that? It was like a very huge dollar debt. I was a mother with little kids, and I was working as a psychologist, and nothing was enough to help myself or help others. Let's say people were trying everything, also drugs, pills, alcohol, whatever. And then I practiced. I dropped into the practice, and definitely I realized that I could be present and discover and realize how to manage with my inner reality and with others, and to help others also. So for me, my starting point may be in 2001, even if I had meditated from before and I continue practicing.
And how do you kind of think about mindfulness? Like, are there words that you use, or what really is it for you, would you say?
Mindfulness, for me, it's the most important thing I would say. It's a non-dual way of living. I would like to emphasize that body and mind do correlate each other. And for me to practice is to be present with the full person that I am. And from this kind of presence and attention, I would like to facilitate connection, emotional attunement, not only for education, but also at home or at working places, between adults themselves and also between adults and young people.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you try to do that in your own life, and how do you try to do that as you go out there and teach young people and bring this to young people and kids?
With kids, I love to use something that I always learned from John Kabat-Zinn. He always says, as you know, that practicing mindfulness is a kind of love affair with reality. And when I am with kids, I play with them and I tell them, I will tell you a secret, a very important secret. You know, there are two characters. One is called presence and the other one is attention. And you know, attention and presence love each other. They really love each other. When they are together and they match, life unfolds like a miracle. But sometimes presence is there without company, no attention there, and nothing happens. On the other side, sometimes attention is lonely without presence. So when they match and they are together, that's magic. That's life. So remember this secret, the couple of presence and attention. Okay? Yeah. That secret is between everybody. And sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, no. Something that I would like to stress that I made a note not to forget is that I would like for kids mostly that we adults pay attention what is capturing our attention. Because kids today are we say that they are distracted, but distracted from where? What kind of road? What kind of way? So I would like to recall us that if we pay attention to something else, it's because something else is seducing our mind. And we are distracted from maybe a way or the way someone wants for us. So I would like to put this question for all of us. What path are we on? And let's notice also for the practice of mindfulness, if it is really our path or others' path. And let's also try to be careful about not to get caught or to be alienated by any prefixed model. I would like to invite us to choose how and what to pay attention to explore our possibilities, but not to be exploited by our culture or be consumed, or also with the screens, you know, how do we relate to them? Yeah.
And is that, do you find in Buenos Aires and in Argentina, are the screens a problem with the kids? Is that a big issue?
It's a huge issue, Chris, because also parents use the screens as pacifiers.
Right, yeah.
So when kids need attention, there's a screen available and adults continue to work on to do what they want to do, and everybody is with a screen. It's very sad.
Yeah. And again, keeps us from being present for ourselves, for each other, all of it. And it's amazing. I mean, everyone I talk to all over the world is so concerned about this and trying to figure out what to do about screens, not just for kids, but for themselves as well. It's a real challenge. And I think that's part of why mindfulness is so popular everywhere, is it's a real counterbalance to that. Yeah.
Yes, I will try to share this in English. Sorry if I made some mistake, but the new generations, babies from 0 to 2 years old, who are cared by adults, the percentage of contact between that adult, that caretaker, and the little baby, nowadays, it's a few up, 25%, 30%, 40%, but the other percentage is for the screen.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So what is mindfulness to you, and what does it look like in Argentina?
Okay, in Argentina, it's growing so fast. There is a huge movement at universities, at schools, mostly private schools, because of these political and financial things that we are running all the time. We haven't been able to measure and sustain long-range programs at the public educational field. But people are really eager to learn how to practice, and we have a lot of meetings. We are very happy when people like you come here and teach us, and we are able to share and be updated. And we have a lot of informal practice. One of the questions that you mentioned to take into account was about ways of practicing informal practices here in Argentina, if we know one. I was thinking about some rituals that we have that we may consider ways to learn how to practice informal mindfulness. For example, sharing the mate. You know, the mate is like a little pumpkin that we breathe, like, and we how do you say that in English?
Right, with the straw.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, mate is this wonderful hot beverage that people drink in the River Plate, Uruguay, Argentina, parts of Brazil. And you sip it out of this gourd, right, with the silver metal straw. It's
and we are in a circle. Exactly. So we are in a circle, and we share it, and we make eye contact when we pass the mate from one to each other, and someone is in charge of putting hot water and then making the mate circle. So that is a very nice way of informal practice that we can take into account. Also, we have peñas. The peñas are gatherings of people who are really present and look how to sing what they are feeling and the way they are in relationship to what is happening in the north of the country. And they gather in little bars with a guitar, and they start to improvise. So a peña of atención consciente is like a mindfulness peña, and that is a very nice practice that I would like to share. Also, well, you know that Argentina has the best wine. And if we have some wine, for example, not for parental distress, but to know, as you practice with little kids, the hot chocolate or the soup bowl, we can also practice a mindful wine drinking, like savoring the color, the smell, the temperature.
Yeah, yeah.
The way I breathe while I drink the wine and eat, how it makes a combination between the food and the drink.
Right.
And the wine drinking is also an informal practice because we do not consume the wine as in some places in Northern Europe, they consume the beers like one after the other.
Right.
It's more savoring and tasting it.
And there is so much mindfulness that goes into just something like wine tasting. I know when we, in the classic mindfulness exercise of eating the raisin or eating the chocolate and trying to, just think about the sunshine and the rain and all the people. And I mean, it really is like wine tasting where you're tasting the year and can you taste the soil and what kind of weather was there that year? I mean, there is something, there are all these really similar common threads. And I do think just the Argentine appreciation for life and that slowing down with the wine, I think there's really something there. And as you said about the mate too, like when I was down there, I was so struck with how gently and carefully you have to sip the mate so that you don't burn your tongue, right? It's really so deliberate and such a sweet communal ritual bringing people together. And it's so unique to that part of the world. I was saying to someone they need to make a mate emoji for phones, but
that's true. That's true. And I think that here in our country, the noise, the movement, the physical contact, and also the play are more present in the streets, in the family living rooms, in the clubs, in the parks, in daily life. That's true. And as all the inner country is country, this is that Tai always taught us about where is this grape coming from.
Right.
We can really feel it.
Yeah.
I also would like to share with you something that I have been taking notes about an American writer who is called Ian McGilchrist. Do you know him?
Yeah.
This quote that says, "The kind of attention we pay to the world changes the nature of the world we pay attention to."
Wow. Yeah.
And attention for me is a relationship, is a how-ness. In this sense. So I tried to explain why this is so important for me. And for example, if you are really my friend, and the way in which I attend to you will be different for the way I would pay attention to you if you were my enemy.
Right. Yeah.
Understand? So our experience, your experience, and my experience is different because the type of attention we pay, the way we contact ourselves and the other.
Right.
And the direction and the nature of our attention is a creation.
Yeah.
We need to be present.
Yeah.
And this is very important for me, this quality of the presence, because there is nothing to obtain in advance as positive or valuable according to any chart.
Yeah.
There is no ranking in advance for the attention. And it's only about the kind of attention and presence we offer each other.
Yeah.
That is really what mindfulness means to me.
Right. Absolutely. And I love how you talk about it as a relationship, because I think mindfulness is not just this thing that we do right? Like that just makes it so much more dynamic to think about it as this is how we relate to everything. And I think that is different than sometimes the ways that we might be thinking about it in North America, or some people might be interpreting it as like, okay, this thing I do and I focus on my breath, or but it really is about this, this relationship, this intimacy. And I love hearing you talk about it like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, for me, it's not only about the breath, it's about awareness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's about it's a fact, not a way of interpreting any connection either.
Yeah. Right. Just being with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what else would you like to share with us about what's happening, or some of the work that you're doing in teaching, or some other ideas?
Well, I would like to share with you, that the practice also reminds us to what really matters, what really is important for us, and how do we make a difference moment by moment by moment. And in that sense, I was thinking about a practice, because you also asked me to share practices that are more original, or that we create. And nowadays I love to play and practice with the money, because money here is taking a very important role, because every day our money values different. And the way we relate to the money make us lose our minds sometimes. And we need to respond, not to react to what is happening. So I have here, this is a lot of money. And let's put it like this. And maybe we can also have an informal practice with the money, and hold it and try to realize what sort of value do you bring to my life. And I would like to give me, or invite you to have some time to discover, how do I relate to you? What kind of feelings or emotions do I experiment in the face of you? Who do I have here? Washington, Franklin. I have Franklin here. What kind of relevance do I give to it? And also, as with the racing or the wine or the breath, we can also discover the smell, the wave, the colors, the shape. Do I feel free in relationship to this paper? What does it mean in my life? Or we can continue and continue.
Right. It's incredible.
And we can learn how to share and give it to you, and you give it back to me, and change numbers. We can play quite a lot.
Yeah. Absolutely. I remember when we first met, you were talking about doing that with teenagers, and who are always fighting with their parents about money and what does it mean. And it's such a cool, fun practice. Yeah,
exactly. And what else? Well, about we are publishing books and a lot of things here in Spanish.
To hear about your books. Yeah.
And El Secreto Emilia is a book that I arrived to publish after trying to discover how to invite parents, caretakers, teachers, grandparents to remember
Mm-hmm.
that kids can be present.
Yeah.
And they already know how to do it.
Right. Right.
And El Secreto de Emilia, it's only an excuse
Mm-hmm.
to stay alive.
Yeah.
This secret that they already know.
Right. Well, I also just I love talking about mindfulness in that way of not, here's this thing you need to learn, but here's this thing that's already part of you. How do you discover it or rediscover it? How do you start to uncover it and water those seeds and allow it to grow? Because it's already there. It's not like we need to teach this to you, but it's like, how do we help you uncover this again? And yeah.
Once again. I also have written down to tell you about this for adults. This is for adults that Simone Weil, the writer, brings attention and love. And in this way, she says that attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So if we pay attention for our kids, we are taking care of them, we are loving them, we are holding them.
Yeah.
We are making a base where they can grow. We are available for them.
Yeah.
And that is a kind of generosity that you only cultivate with attention.
Right. It's not, money and giving your kids allowance or buying them stuff. Exactly. It's like, It is, the rarest and precious. Exactly. Absolutely. Yes. Well, maybe we should end on that wonderful note. So thank you again so much, Marina Lisenberg, author of El Secreto de Emilia, author of Mindfulness. What's the title?
In Spanish, we call it Atención Plena para Niños y Adolescentes, Prácticas de Mindfulness en Crianza, Salud y Educación. It is a book of all the fundamental teachings of mindfulness in Spanish for all the people who speak Spanish, how you can practice at home, at the health area of your professional field, or also for educational field for teachers. So it has a lot of practices in Spanish, and it invites the adults to work with themselves and then work with young people. Yeah.
Wonderful. And so how can people get in touch with you if they're wanting to learn more about the kind of work that you do? Do you have a website where people can visit, Attentia or Marina Lisenberg?
Yeah, sure. Attentia, it's ATTENTIA.com.ar, Argentina, or Attentia Mindfulness, Instagram or Facebook. And I am pleased to share some tracks of practices in Spanish for the people who are sharing our educational summit. I'm very pleased to share some tracks in Spanish for you all.
Great.
And thank you, Chris, so much for this conversation.
Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for our friendship, and thank you for all the wonderful work that you're doing in Buenos Aires and in Argentina. Gracias.
Gracias.
Hasta pronto. Ciao.